Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you gave us this mountain of notes, all the articles, the chatter about the 45th Ryder Cup. Our job today. Let's cut through all that noise, get past the hype, and figure out what really matters when Team USA meets Team Europe. Bethpage Black, Farmingdale, New York, kicks off September 26th.
Yeah, it's a great mission, actually, because this event, it's more than just a big show. It feels like this colossal clash between trying to control everything perfectly and just, well, the reality of chaos. The sources really drive that home. The scale is just unprecedented. You got Team USA, Keegan Bradley's captain hosting Luke Donald's European team, and everything, everything, logistics, the weather, it's all huge. Some sources are genuinely calling it the biggest golf spectacle of all time.
Okay, but I have to push back on that a tiny bit. Biggest golf spectacle of all time, isn't that just a bit of marketing talk? Feels like some of our sources are maybe, amplifying the PGA line.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, let's unpack this a bit and look at the evidence, right? The money involved definitely signals something's different about modern golf now. We don't need to list every sponsor, but just the size of that worldwide partner list. Aon, BMW, Citi, Rolex. It's the corporate setup you don't often see, even at the majors. But what I find really telling, it's the local money. MasterCard, CDW, sure, they're key local sponsors. But the really interesting bit, T-Mobile is funding free concession stands and bars.
Free bars. Wow.
Yeah, that's a direct cash injection, basically, trying to manage, or maybe just calm down those famously loud New York crowds.
That's a brilliant detail. Literally paying to try and keep a lid on the atmosphere. But speaking of control, let's shift to the course itself. Because Bethpage Black, that's a whole different kind of challenge, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Bethpage Black, that famous sign on the first tee, warning, the black course is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And Captain Bradley basically confirmed it. He called it the ultimate mental test.
Right.
It's not just the length, those 7,100 yards is plenty. It's about the consequences, the reports from practice rounds. They talk about incredibly thick, really keenal rough, steep bunkers. It's a course that just demands precision. Players are finding birdies, sure. Sources say plenty of birdies, but any mistake, it's proving really, really costly. The challenge feels less physical, more psychological.
And that psychological test might get an early jolt from Mother Nature. The weather data really highlighted that. It's looking like the big wild card here.
The uninvited star, you could say. Absolutely. The forecast for Thursday, opening day, September 26th. It looks dire. We're talking like an 80% chance of pretty violent thunderstorms. Wind gusts maybe hitting 45 kilometers an hour. That's nearly 28 miles.
Right, and I couldn't believe they actually moved the opening ceremony, bumped it up a whole day to Wednesday the 25th just to avoid that storm. That tells you the organizers are genuinely worried about Thursday's weather and, the disruption it could cause.
The big signal, yeah. They clearly want to get those first matches underway without what seems like an inevitable weather delay.
Yeah.
But here's the strategic wrinkle for the players. Even if that storm blows through, the weekend forecast, it's milder, maybe 18 to 25 Celsius. But it includes cool nights, down around 15 Celsius, 59 Fahrenheit. That coolness is key. It's going to keep those already tricky greens firm and fast.
Firm and fast, okay.
So, yeah, they might get some scattered showers, but they'll likely be playing on lightning-quick surfaces all weekend. Precision putting is going to be absolutely critical.
Okay, so moving from that external chaos, the weather, let's talk about the human element, injuries. You can't control those, and both teams seem to be dealing with some key concerns.
Yeah, conditioning is always huge, but especially here. For Team USA, the big worry is Xander Schauffele. He's been dealing with a pretty painful rib issue. Whether he can hold up for potentially 5 intense match play sessions, that's a real question mark. And then, of course, the elephant in the room, Tiger Woods. He's out, obviously. Had that Achilles surgery back in March.
But his shadow still looms large, doesn't it? I saw one report suggesting even injured. Woods is being talked about for an advisory role this year, continuing his influence, and the chatter's definitely getting louder about him maybe captaining in 2027. So his name's still very much part of the American story here.
Exactly. His presence is felt even when he's not playing. For Europe, the news seems a bit better. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's apparently fit after that neck scare. Although we did find that interesting bit from Paul McGinley. He was speculating that one player, hinting pretty strongly it might have been Tyrrell Hatton, possibly lost a spot because of earlier injury worries.
And all this injury talk, potential last-minute stuff, it brings that envelope rule into focus. It's rarely needed, but maybe you can explain for our listener, what exactly does that mean in practice?
Right, like a really crucial bit of Ryder Cup machinery, designed for fairness if someone gets hurt right before a match. Basically, if one team loses a player to an acute injury just before they tee off, The other captain gets to bench one of their own players for that specific match. It stops one side getting an easy, uncontested point just because of bad luck on the other side. Given how intense this is and the history of injuries, both captains are surely hoping that envelope stays firmly sealed.
That's great context, thanks. Okay, now, tactical prep. Those practice pairings, they give us the first real clues about strategy, right?
They definitely do. We saw Europe strongly hinting they might stick with that powerhouse duo. Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood were grouped together. And what's more, McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Viktor Hovland were seen practicing foursomes and fourballs together.
Okay, maybe quickly clarify for everyone listening. Foursomes and fourballs, those are the different match play formats they use.
Good point. Foursomes is alternate shot, one ball per team. Players take turns hitting it. Requires incredible teamwork, real synchronicity. Fourballs is best ball.
Huh.
Both players play their own ball on each hole, and the team takes the better score. Gives players a bit more freedom.
Got it.
So seeing those top three European guys, McIlroy, Rahm, Hovland, practicing those formats together, it signals Donald might be leaning heavily on his stars, trying to bank some early points. Team USA, meanwhile, took a different approach in practice. They kept Scottie Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau separate. That suggests maybe they're still testing out combinations, or perhaps they're trying to spread their big hitters across more matches, maximize their impact.
Speaking of impact, let's get into the psychological side, because this is where the source material just gets wild. That New York crowd, notoriously loud, famously rowdy. And Rory McIlroy, Europe's clear ace player, he's prepping for it in a way I've never heard of before.
Oh, you mean the VR training? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an extraordinary move, trying to mitigate that chaos factor. He's literally using virtual reality headsets to simulate the noise, the sheer volume of the New York fans, and apparently even customized heckles, trying to desensitize himself.
Customized heckles. Seriously? Are they like programming specific insults into this thing? Is this Europe admitting they're terrified, or is it some genius competitive edge? I just have this image of Rory in his room, headset on, trying to ignore a virtual guy yelling about his trousers. It's either peak dedication or peak absurdity.
It might be both, right? That's why it's so interesting. And Jon Rahm's skepticism was noted too. He apparently thinks you just have to deal with it when you're out there. But this really focused, almost scientific approach to psychological prep, it contrasts so sharply with the American stars. You've got Scottie Scheffler, top ranked, very calm, professional, wants clinical control.
Right. Versus the total opposite. Bryson DeChambeau, he's such a lightning rod. One report called him a circus barker, which is harsh, but he does seem to feed off the spotlight, the noise. So if DeChambeau is polarizing, maybe that makes him an asset in New York. Compared to someone like Scheffler who wants quiet focus, does being controversial actually help here?
It absolutely can, yeah. Scheffler wants to tune out the noise. DeChambeau basically invites it in, makes it part of his act. He almost turns the crowd into a co-performer. The big tactical question for Team USA is, can they harness that DeChambeau energy without it, throwing the whole team off balance?
And speaking of pressure, let's talk about the pressure on the entire operation from the crowd itself. Because the logistics for the 50,000 fans expected each day, they sound like a nightmare. Pure chaos.
Pure gridlock is definitely the warning coming through. Let's say practical for anyone listening who might be going. There is absolutely zero parking allowed on site. Zero. It's all mandatory shuttle buses. The official advice is use the Long Island Railroad, the LIRR, get to Farmingdale Station, then hop on a free shuttle from there.
And the warnings in the prep docs were stark. Road closures started way back on Monday, those private lots nearby. Already price gouging, up to $100 a day apparently. Plus, it's a closed-loop system. No drop-offs or walk-ins allowed. You absolutely must have that pre-purchased mobile ticket or pass just to get close. Mess up your planning, and you're just not getting in.
Exactly. So while the regular fan is navigating that potential chaos, the VIPs will have a smoother ride. And that guest list is pretty star-studded. The Celebrity All-Star match on Tuesday night was stacked. John McEnroe, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Colin Jost, even Brooklyn Beckham.
Right, and the political dimension is going to be intense, too. Former President Donald Trump is expected on Friday as a PGA guest. That's bound to, well, electrify an already charged atmosphere and probably politicize it even more.
And that kind of high profile, that sheer scale, it naturally ramps up the security. The NYPD is officially treating this as a heightened target. They recognize the potential for incidents. So security is described as layered. Hundreds of state police, drone surveillance, a massive coordination effort between the PGA and law enforcement.
And here's another one of those fascinating little behavioral control tactics we found. The price of beer.
Yeah. It's subtle, but effective, perhaps. You've got this huge crowd, the potential for political friction. Crowd control is paramount. And it seems the organizers are partly relying on, well, making it expensive to get too rowdy. Beer is a minimum of $15. Social media has been all over that. Found one quote that just said, "It's too expensive to get drunk."
Huh. That's actually kind of genius, using the wallet to enforce a bit of sobriety. But they have more direct methods too, right?
Oh yeah, they're using the sound system strategically, trying to manage the volume, enforce some boundaries. Bethpage fans are known for being vocal, right? We saw anecdotes about U.S. fans already sporting those Make Golf Great Again caps, so you know that New York Roar is going to have a political edge. The organizers' challenge is using sound control, announcements, whatever, to keep that passion from boiling over into genuinely unfair interference. It's this huge multi-layered attempt to impose some order on potential chaos.
Wow. This deep dive, it really paints a picture, doesn't it? The 2025 Ryder Cup isn't just golf. It's this collision course between massive corporate forces, environmental threats, and intense psychological games.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources really weave this narrative of control versus chaos. You've got the course itself, Bethpage Black, demanding ultimate player control. You've got the sheer chaos of that storm threat forcing major logistical pivots. And then you have these really unprecedented human attempts to control variables. McElroy's VR training for his own headspace, the beer prices and drones trying to manage the crowd. It's fascinating.
It really sets up a contest that feels impossible to predict. So many things could swing the momentum so drastically. You've got the weather potentially throwing Thursday into disarray, the political charge in the crowd adding another layer of tension, and this battle between meticulous mental prep and just embracing the sheer theater of it all. And that, I think, leads us perfectly to our final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Given this specific mix, the extreme weather risk looming over day one, the high-profile political presence potentially amplifying the atmosphere, and Rory McIlroy's unique psychological training against heckling. Which single factor, nature's unpredictability, the political circus, or the inner mental game, do you think will ultimately be the most decisive in crowning the winner of this 45th Ryder Cup? That's a big question we'll all be watching unfold when those first shots are hit.